NASCAR's Netflix show finally has a release date for its second season. That'll be happening in May. Formula One's TV rights in America potentially headed to Apple TV Plus. And are we going to see a return to Chicagoland for NASCAR in 2026? Welcome back to Break Hard. I'm Matt. Realized the last video I posted, the intro, just no sound. I muted both soundtracks that were on that video, so my apologies for that. I am, in fact, not a mime. Let's get into the topics of the day, though. We're going to start off with NASCAR's Full Speed docuseries on Netflix, Season 2, the much-anticipated Season 2. Been waiting around for months for it. At this point, will finally debut on May 7th. All 5 episodes will be able to be watched on Netflix, so if you have a Netflix account, great. If you don't, you can possibly sign up for one if you would like to. I really enjoyed Season 1, which recapped the 2023 lead-up to the playoffs and the playoffs for the Cup Series. Obviously, this season will recap the lead-up to the 2024 playoffs and the playoffs last season. I think it's a weird timing to have it come out in May. Obviously, Season 1 came out at the very end of January. I think it was January 29th of last year when it came out. So we're talking about, 3 months later, 4 months later, almost 3 months later, than what it did the first time around. Now there's some thought process behind that of like, hey, we're going to push it a little bit further into 2025 and, allow the season to be underway as we're approaching sort of the new TV partners there as well. And the summer portion of the season, release it then and try to help use that momentum to build for the playoffs versus, debuting it back before the 500. And then, hoping that the people that watched it in January or February are still interested in watching when the playoffs roll around at the end of the summer. So there's some, thought process there. Kind of like doing A/B testing in real life here. So we'll see how it is. I enjoyed Season 1. Like I said, I thought they did a great job of capturing just how emotionally draining this season can be. This type of racing can be, and this championship is. The Martinsville episode where they look at Tyler Reddick with that 1,000-yard stare like he just came back from Vietnam, just shocked that he didn't make the championship race in 23. The Denny Hamlin where he just walks back into his motorhome, lays down on the bed, just absolutely defeated. William Byron being completely exhausted. Ryan Blaney with the walk-off win to put himself into that championship race at Phoenix. I enjoyed all of it there. I've seen some people be like, oh, I'm never going to watch it. That show's trash. I want NASCAR 24/7 back. I want them to, show us video from inside team meetings. I want to see these people at their house, blah, blah, blah. Listen, I don't need to see race car drivers at their house. Like, they are entitled to some privacy there. The fact that people want to see into the lives, like the personal lives and the home lives of people, is kind of odd to me in a sense. And you're never going to get them to give you video of inside a team meeting outside of being like, hey guys, welcome to the competition meeting this morning. That's all you're going to get. Nobody is willing to hand over any sort of secrets, not even allow it to be, put on video at that. So I thought what they did the first time around was really good, and I'm excited to see what they do this time around as well. What drivers are involved. Obviously, we're going to get a, episode on Martinsville and everything that went into that. Christopher Bell's going to have to relive that like it's Groundhog's Day. Once again, there's some Daniel Suarez. It seems like he's going to be a decent portion of this as well. Poor Alex Bowman fans are going to have to relive the Roval all over again and Blake Harris's mess up there for the 48 team. So yeah, I'm curious to see how it all plays out. Obviously, we know how it ends, and that's not really aimed at necessarily the diehards, but I enjoyed it the first time through. I thought it was the anti-Drive to Survive. They didn't create drama that wasn't already there. They didn't, try to create these rivalries between teammates or between friends or anything like that. I thought it was really well done, and I'm happy and excited to see what Season 2 looks like. Now moving on, it's lights out and away we go to an Apple TV Plus subscription, because Apple TV Plus is apparently the most well-positioned to secure the rights to Formula One in the United States. That according to Puck, which covers a lot of the sports media side of the business. They said that Apple TV Plus is very interested in securing the rights to Formula One's TV rights in the United States, and that the current asking price, somewhere between $150 and $180 million, is pocket change for the $3 trillion company. That's trillion with a T. Apparently, Tim Apple was just so excited to wave that checker flag. Most excited I've ever seen anybody wave a checker flag. He just wants the rights to Formula One. And for Apple TV Plus, it makes a lot of sense. One, it's a streaming service that doesn't have the market share that it definitely should. If you're not signed up for Apple TV Plus, you should. Because remember when HBO was good and they put out a lot of really good programming? That's what Apple TV Plus is now. They're the new HBO. They're the ones out there that are actually producing really, really good television. And I implore everybody to sign up for the service just to check that out. At the same time, they need subscribers. They want more subscribers, and signing up Formula One would be a really good way to do that. Now, everybody's going to point to Major League Soccer and be like, hey, putting Major League Soccer behind the paywall at Apple TV Plus has absolutely stunted the growth, which I think there's a lot of people within the front offices at Major League Soccer teams that would absolutely agree with that, and some have started to say that. At the same time, though, if you're going to watch Formula One, you're going to follow it here. Now, I think the biggest question is, will F1 TV still remain? And honestly, I think if they're selling your TV rights to a streaming service, there's a strong likelihood that your in-house streaming service has to go away as part of that deal. I can't see Apple wanting to sign up for Formula One and buy the rights to that while also having to compete against Formula One's in-house streaming service. That just doesn't make much business sense from the Apple side of things, other than the fact that they could possibly just want them to be like, hey, we have the rights to Formula One, just kind of have that feather in their cap there. So it can kind of go either way right now. Apple TV Plus does appear to be one of the big players in the space for it. Obviously, they also have the Formula One movie coming out this summer. That is an Apple studio production with Brad Pitt and Javier Bardem and everybody else that's starring in that movie. So they're going to be carrying momentum through the summer. Maybe the performance of that could lead to them, being more excited and definitely wanting the rights to Formula One in America. Either way, the rights are still up in the air. Nobody's really that interested in bidding at the current asking price that Formula One has. And, if Formula One has a decision to make here, do you want to leave linear television, that being ESPN, NBC, Fox? Fox is not bidding on it, according to them. Or do you want to go to a streaming service? Netflix struggled to show that stupid Jake Paul and Mike Tyson fight. So do you want to go with them, or do you want to go with Apple TV Plus, who has done a really good job putting on Friday Night Baseball as well as the MLS games? But you're looking at a pretty big influx now. More people watching Formula One than definitely watch the sporting events that they're showing live now. So there's going to be kind of a test in real time, but I have faith, they could get it done. I don't know. I'm interested to see which way it goes, but if it goes to a streamer, guess what? It's probably going to go behind an additional paywall, and that's going to cost race fans more money. All right, and now for some news that could make some of the people up in the Chicagoland very happy. So happy they're going to go pound a shot of Malort, which you should absolutely never do. Could we see NASCAR return to Chicagoland Speedway in 2026? This has been a topic that has floated around for a while now because everybody knows that the contract NASCAR has with the city of Chicago is up at the end of 2025. It was a 3-race deal. 2025 is the 3rd race of that deal. Will it return next year, or will they take the street race somewhere else, or potentially have to have a stopgap year before they get there? Well, Jordan Bianchi kind of drummed all that up once again this week in his mailbag, where he was asked about, NASCAR wanting to return or potentially returning to Chicagoland. NASCAR fans want to go back to Joliet, Illinois more than anybody I've ever met in my entire life. They're the reverse Jake and Elwood Blues. They just absolutely cannot wait to get back to Joliet. Nobody should want to go to Joliet. Yes, it's in the Chicagoland area, but it's not Chicago. So Jordan is talking about it, and he's saying, yeah, there is some talk amongst industry people that there could be a return to Chicagoland next year. Obviously, the Cup Series hasn't raced there since the 2019 season, and it put on really good shows there at the end of its life, right? Like with a worn out surface, especially worn out now, in the Gen 7 car, it should, in theory, put on an absolute banger of a race. At the same time, though, it's Chicago adjacent. It's in the Chicagoland area. It doesn't do anything in terms of market for the sport. Yeah, it's somewhat close to the 3rd biggest media market in the country. At the same time, though, it's not going to give you what the Chicago Street Course did, which is a downtown presence, which is a presence in front of a bunch of fans that you weren't previously going to be in front of, and a race that gets people to travel there. Chicagoland Speedway could put on a really, really good race. I have no desire to go to Joliet, Illinois to watch this race. At the same time, I'm headed to Chicago once again this summer to go to the NASCAR street race around Grant Park because it was a phenomenal event last year. I'm going to go back this year because I had such a good time, and it provides a lot more to do than going to Joliet, Illinois. Unless, of course, you want to do a Blues Brothers tour, then I guess there's that for you there. But all Joliet has to provide is you driving in to watch the race, you driving out to watch the race, versus a downtown street course where after the race, you can walk to dinner, you can walk back to your hotel, you can go see a show or a comedy show or whatever you could possibly want to do. You're able to do that there. You wake up in the morning, you walk across the street, boom, you're in the racetrack. There's no driving, there's no parking, there's no anything. It's a really fun time. So I'm interested to see if they do decide to come back and do that or not. Obviously, it's taken them longer to get back now than the Garage 56 documentary to come out. And if they do go back, great. Obviously, they haven't really done anything at the racetrack since NASCAR left. They did do a super motocross playoff race there where they went out of the track, back in the track. So they took the fence down, went over the wall there on the entrance to turn 1. It was kind of cool to see. The track could probably use some upgrades, probably use some tidying up, of sorts to get it back into shape to hold a major sporting event. But Jordan didn't mention that it could just be used as a stopgap for 2026. And then in 2027, NASCAR could take that date and shift it over to another potential street course, whether that be San Diego or somewhere in the Pacific Northwest. I think that a street race provides more. Don't get me wrong. I like Chicagoland. I would take away, unfortunately, within the ISC, portfolio there, you got to, try to figure out which race you would take to put in Chicagoland. And maybe they pull a race from somewhere else. Say Mexico doesn't go well this year, and they're like, okay, we need to figure that out. They pull that date back, give it to Chicago, and then put a street race somewhere else. That could all very much happen here. Chicagoland could put on a very good show. And if it does, it deserves a spot on the schedule. At the same time, finding a spot on the schedule is going to be the, slightly difficult job there for them. So let me know in the comments what you think about NASCAR Full Speed Season 2, Apple TV potentially getting the rights to Formula 1, and a return to Chicagoland. Do you want it? Do you not want it? Like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on TikTok @BreakHard, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook @BreakHardBlog.